Okay, well, wonderful. I'm Jessica Dorsey, and I'm the Executive Director here at the Kansas Volunteer Commission. We are a program of the Kansas State Department of Education, and we promote volunteerism, youth mentoring, civic engagement, and national service across the state of Kansas by providing training, technical assistance, and most importantly, grant dollars to help support this work in our schools and our communities. So I appreciate you all being here today. Oftentimes we think that we can't incorporate civic engagement, student leadership, youth voice, positive youth development, all of these various initiatives that sort of carry the same underlying intent, which is to get our youth engaged and empowered decision makers. Sometimes we think that this is a really daunting task and we don't know where to start. But I'm happy today to be able to share with you 5 national resources that are free and available to our community, most importantly to our school districts. And some of these are sort of a drag and drop implementation, which I know that we all love because we're very busy and we have a lot of competing priorities. So today, our objectives are to talk through those resources and to share them in greater detail. We have on the call with us today, Sarah Miller from the Youth Volunteer Corps, which is based out of Kansas City, Missouri. And she is going to be sharing with us what that looks like to develop a Youth Volunteer Corps in your school or community. And we're also joined by Pam Siebert, I hope I said that right. And she is with the National Youth Leadership Council. I think I wrote center on here, but it is council. My apologies for that typo. And she is going to be able to share with us a number of resources that they have available as well. And then I will share with you resources that I was able to find regarding the Special Olympics, specifically regarding inclusive youth leadership opportunities, as well as some resources from Lead for Change. And then out of nowhere, Health and Human Services popped up. They have a really great website devoted to positive youth development. And so we'll take a look at some of those resources and how you might create a youth listening session so that you give your young people an opportunity to share about the issues that are important to them. So I know that this is a preaching to the choir moment, but I did want to just give a little bit of back history here about why civic engagement and youth leadership development is so important. So we know from the 6 proven practices for effective civic learning that in order for students to learn how to cultivate this commitment to civic participation and to become active members of our community, which is what we're all striving for, they have to have those regular opportunities to practice while they are in school. And I know that our schools are doing this to a great degree through their Kansas Can competencies around intrapersonal, and communication skills. That's a great start. Many of you are also engaged in, we're doing things around positive instruction in history, government, law, and democracy so that our students have the foundational knowledge to be civically engaged. We're giving them opportunities to practice the democratic simulations, giving them opportunities for leadership in our school, for service learning in our schools, for volunteerism in our schools. And so we're doing a lot of really great things. And I hope that you'll learn some things in this webinar to take it to the next level. We know that a strong school community can foster a safe and empowering space for our young people, and that civic engagement is one way that you can actually develop a stronger school community. So if you feel like your school culture and your school community is one that could be strengthened to be more inclusive, to be a more engaging, encouraging, and empowering space for students, then civic engagement is definitely a path that you could go down in order to achieve that. And through these activities and opportunities that we'll talk through today, they're really learning a lot of those soft skills. They're learning how to have respectful dialogue. They're developing their leadership skills, teamwork, an appreciation for a diversity, not only diversity that we might be able to see with our eyes, but a diversity of perspectives, diversity of ideas. And so civic engagement has a really strong and powerful impact on our young people. This is also proven through a myriad of research a lot of research that has been done on this topic as well, which tells us that there are a lot of positive behaviors that can be increased through civic engagement, and a lot of negative behaviors that can be decreased through civic engagement and youth leadership development as well. So with that, then, I would like to stop sharing and we'll get to the meat of the presentation here. I am going to give the floor to Sarah first, so I will make her a co-host, which will then give you the opportunity to be able to share your screen. Pam, I'm going to go ahead and make you a co-host now, and you can just pick right up after Sarah, and then I'll share the following 3 resources.
Cool, thank you. Can you see everything on my window? Cool. I'm Sarah Miller. I'm from Youth Volunteer Corps headquarters. I'm here to share about our program that can be implemented in your own communities or schools. We currently only have one Youth Volunteer Corps program that's in Kansas. It's in Wichita. Our Kansas City program also operates on the Kansas side throughout the whole Kansas City metro, but we would love to have more Kansas affiliates. So I'm here today to tell you a little bit about our programming. So our mission at YVC is to engage youth in team-based service experiences that build life and work skills while inspiring a lifetime ethic of service. And our vision is communities defined by compassion, selflessness, and respect for others. And we do this through frequent team-based service experiences. This can be held through episodic volunteering throughout the school year and the summer. A lot of our programs do after school programming on Thursday or Wednesday, and then projects during the day on Saturdays and Sundays on the weekends. We also have some programs that do summer camp style volunteering. So finding whatever works for you, works for your youth, and works for your community, works for us. We're very flexible. And all of our volunteer projects meet one or more of our 5 strategic focus areas, which are listed here. So arts and culture, STEM and environment, compassionate communities, education, and healthy lifestyles. And we divide up our volunteer projects in these different categories for 2 reasons. One, to get youth interested in a subject that they are passionate about, so that would encourage them to join in on the volunteer project, and to keep them coming back to YVC. But also once they have completed however many hours through the YVC program, they come out with this well-rounded kind of pocket of experiences that they then can take with them after graduation to college, to the workforce, or wherever they go after high school, and have those skills in their back pocket to make them more civically engaged citizens. So where are we hosted? I mentioned this previously. We're pretty flexible and every affiliate is very unique. Many of our YVC programs are hosted in nonprofit organizations or schools, such as Parks and Recreations, YMCAs, Boys and Girls Clubs, volunteer centers, etc. We have a few programs that we manage from our headquarters directly, but the majority of our YVC programs are hosted at a independent nonprofit organization or school. So here's a list of where we are. As you can see, we love more Kansas affiliates. The ones in gold are our gold level affiliates, which means they are the best and the brightest of volunteer service learning programming in our network. They are affiliates that we connect other affiliates to learn from, and then we consider them leaders in our network. So our mission and vision is kind of the what of YVC, and our 4 foundational goals are the how. How are we reaching youth? How do we know that we're making an impact? How do we know that we're doing YVC and following our model? So we have 4 engage youth in service projects that are challenging, rewarding, and educational. 2 is serve the needs of the community and its residents. 3 is cultivate a greater understanding and appreciation for diversity. And 4 is promote a lifetime ethic of service in youth. So if you ask yourself, what is YVC and how do we know we're doing it? If we're following our mission and vision and our fundamental goals, that's YVC in a nutshell. So how we're structured is at headquarters in Kansas City, we provide the framework, the professional development on leaders who want to implement YVC in their community, the longstanding affiliate support throughout the year. So part of my job is to represent about 1/3 of our affiliates in the network, and I provide them support throughout the year in terms of an evaluation, a support plan, check-ins to make sure that they're reaching their goals, strategizing with them on how to reach their goals, things like that. We also provide all of the marketing for YVC programs. And then our biggest thing is funding assistance, as well as resources on our online library. So instead of a teacher or a community leader creating their own service learning lessons, we have a library of service learning lessons that you can apply to any volunteer project that you're doing, so that you make those connections to what they're learning in school or in their daily lives to the volunteer work that they're doing. We also have an annual summit every year that is just a typical conference where we invite program leaders and youth to come be together and learn from each other in the wider network. Youth leadership opportunities are a big advantage of our network. We have an International Youth Advisory Board that makes a lot of decisions for us, because we can't be a youth organization without incorporating youth voice. So they're very important to us. And then we also provide a volunteer tracking database so that you don't have to have 10 Excel spreadsheets, but you have a one-stop shop to put all of your data in throughout the year. So what do YVC volunteer projects look like? So I mentioned our service learning library. So every volunteer project that we do fits into one of those 5 strategic focus areas that I mentioned before. And instead of just going to like a local garden and pulling weeds and saying, okay, great, we did a good job today, we're done, we pull lesson plans from our service learning library, so that youth, while they're there, they can learn about food deserts or why the food bank is there, or maybe they relate it to STEM and talk about photosynthesis and where their food comes from and things like that. So they're making connections to the classroom, and they're finding projects that they're passionate about. So this is just one example of our strategic focus areas. We do a lot of STEM and construction projects. We do anything from testing the water quality every month with the Missouri Stream team, to building handicap ramps so that people can have access to getting out of their home, painting fences, cooking, basically anything that a youth is passionate about, we can frame our volunteer projects and service learning lessons around. We even have some that are much more community-based. We have a program in Reading, Pennsylvania that do a program called STAR, which is Standing Together Against Racism. They formed in 2020, and their youth do a podcast. They do a series of film discussions with members in their community. They do all kinds of community meetings and things like that to encourage the discussion on racial equity in their community, and they're very successful, and they've actually gotten youth from outside of Reading to join into their program. And then a couple network-wide things that we do. We have a YVC day every year, which is always the first Saturday in March. And this is a day that we have a theme for. Our International Youth Advisory Board picks a theme. They pick out all the service learning lessons related to that theme. And then we encourage everyone in the YVC network to do a volunteer project on that day. So then we share pictures and videos and social media posts on everyone volunteering on this day, and we make a huge impact, and it's really, really fun. And then this slide is information on our International Youth Advisory Board, which I've mentioned a few times, but this is a group of young leaders who work together to, we meet once a month on Zoom, and they give us youth perspectives so that our jobs are informed from a youth voice perspective. We empower them to volunteer more and be leaders in their own YVC programs in their hometowns. They collaborate with each other. They work together. They administer a youth grant every year. They do a lot of stuff, and their voices in our network are invaluable to us. And then I think this is one of my final slides, but this is information about our summit that we have every year. So as part of the YBC network, we put on this annual conference for all of our affiliates and youth. We do workshops. We have a track for youth as well as a track for adults where we share ideas, do professional developments and trainings, kind of renew and reignite the passion for the work that we have, and then just celebrate and be together. And it's a lot of fun. And finally, as we grow as a YBC network, we know that success comes from a celebrity spokesperson or something like that to advocate for our programming. So we actually partner with Patrick Mahomes Foundation and in a program called Volunteer for 15. And so youth who volunteer or pledge to volunteer for 15 hours during the summer, there's a couple incentives involved for getting the most volunteer hours over the summer and things like that. But it's a lot of fun and we appreciate his foundation's support. So if you're interested in starting YBC, obviously there's a lot of details that are not in this presentation, but my job is to help you figure that out and help you implement YBC in your own community. Just a couple of quick steps to get started would be identifying the host. If you're in a nonprofit organization or in a school district, that's a great place to start. And then finding who would lead those YBC projects. And then partnering with agencies in your area to see where you can volunteer, establishing a steering committee, so a group of leaders that can help you get started, and then apply. And so if you ever have any questions or have more interest and want to meet further, you can reach me over my email. It's smiller@ybc.org. And that's all I've got.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. And does anyone on the call have any questions about the Youth Volunteer Corps?
I have one. Well, it's kind of like for the after effect. Do you know if kids are transitioning from the Youth Volunteer Corps into AmeriCorps?
That's a great question. And that's actually something that we don't measure right now, but we hope to start measuring in the future. We're forming an alumni network for our YBC youth so that we can track where they go after they've been in YBC for however long. But we do occasionally have speakers come in and talk about volunteering after graduation through AmeriCorps and programs that are AmeriCorps sponsored, like City Year and things like that.
Lenore, I'd
Yes.
also add that for many years, the YVC had an AmeriCorps program in Kansas that used their AmeriCorps members to run these youth volunteer corps in communities, mostly in the Kansas City area. And so that model has been done before, but I really like where you were going with transitioning young people into national service.
Yes. Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Sarah. I hope you'll stay on the call in case there are questions later. And we will go ahead and have you stop sharing, and then we'll turn it over to Pam with the National Youth Leadership Council.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pam Siebert with the National Youth Leadership Council. If you are not familiar with NYLC, our vision is that all young people become civically informed and globally engaged citizens by participating in service learning during their formative years. We tap into the passion, creativity, and ingenuity of all young people to make meaningful change happen. We offer a variety of paths to reach service learning excellence through our online content, customized professional development, tools, resources, events, and more that I'm going to tell you a little bit about here. So I think I'm probably preaching to the choir, as mentioned earlier, and obviously YVC is a supporter of service and living as well, but I just wanted to share our definition of service learning as an approach to teaching and learning, which students use academic and civic knowledge and skills to address genuine community needs. And the key part there that differentiates service learning from community service, if you're not familiar, is really the incorporation of learning goals, whether those be academic, learning goals, social and emotional skills, leadership, and so forth, but we really start at the beginning. So service learning is a process that incorporates the service project in our process. We put it in, it's actually stage 3. So the part that students see, we use the acronym IPARD: investigation, preparation and planning, action, reflection, and demonstration. And I think very often you see the action, you see the project. We don't have a library of projects because we look at it as a process based, but we do have guides to lead you through that. So there is structure and some plug and play resources there. So the first one I wanted to talk to you about, especially for classroom teachers, is a Getting Started in Service Learning Manual, which has walkthrough of the service learning stages I just talked about. So you can look at the beginning at what are your learning goals, how does that align with your state standards or with the other goals for your classroom or your program, and then what are your assessments going to be. So how does that align with your regular instruction? There's fillable PDFs here, and there's examples throughout the book to see what's been done in other states and other classrooms. We're really excited. This one is pretty new. This has just been out for a couple of years, and it is available as a free download on our website. We have, as a follow-up to that, taken these are actually more specifically for after school and out of school time programs. So maybe a club format, after school or summer. And this is taking the service learning process and then adapting it for 3 different age groups. So those are also outlined into week by week activities if you really want to just take something off the shelf and apply it. And then I think I missed one here. If you're looking for something on specific topic areas, we have gone through the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and taken those guides that I just showed you and adapted them for these specific topic areas. And any of these can be adapted for your own uses. I think it's really great to have an example. Well, how would we put this together into a semester project or 10 or 14-week project? So there are step-by-step activities you can go through to lead you through that process with the resources pulled in from these specific subject areas. And those are also available for free download on our website. And we are really thrilled to have a brand new website. It's so brand new that I had to take 5 minutes before this meeting and add slides. So I would love it if everybody would go to nylc.org. We're very proud of it and thrilled to have this. It just launched less than a month ago. So there is up at the top says resources. It's really easy to find, and you can search for specific resources. So all of the ones that I just talked about are in there. And then if you're looking for something specific, you can find that as well. So as you probably know, service learning encompasses a whole process. And then we also have professional development and resources on the different aspects of the process. So if you're looking for something on, how about youth adult partnerships? You can find that in our resource center. If you're looking for something on the investigation phase, what are some ways I can have my students do investigation in the community to find out what the community needs are? We have very specific resources on each of those things as well. And I should say too, this is just a beginning, so more will be added almost every week. We have a free monthly newsletter called The Leader, and you can sign up for that if you go to nylc.org, scroll to the bottom. There's a sign up right at the bottom of the homepage. And every month we have a different topic. So this was just, I think this was the first one in May with our new site, looking at youth voice more in depth. And then if you scroll down in the newsletter, we'll have announcements of new resources. We'll have our events in there. And really it just continues the conversation amongst the national service learning, K-12 service learning community, whether you're working in school doing classroom-based service learning or out of school time. And then we have a lot of options for adult professional development and service learning. We have a community of practice that meets over the course of the school year. So right now we're taking registration to start up in September. If you go to the website across the top, it should be pretty easy to find, and you can sign up for that. There is a charge with that, so that one is not free, but it allows you to have, it's really group coaching throughout the year. So meeting once a month over Zoom, but also having an online community to get some coaching from our Director of Learning and Leadership, but also to have that peer-to-peer conversation and feedback sharing of examples. We have events as well that you'll find on the website. We have an Educator Institute coming up later in July, which is a 3-day institute. We do have a free fall International Service Learning Forum. I don't think the date is out there yet, but it will be shortly. And certainly if you sign up for the Leader newsletter, you'll get all of that information. We have the National Service Learning Conference, which I didn't put the whole title on here. NYLC has been hosting the National Service Learning Conference for going on 34 years. It is the largest gathering of adults and youth for service learning professional development. And we just finished a great conference in April in Nashville, and we'll be getting ready to announce the next location in just the next couple of weeks, and the theme is already out there. And so we are really looking forward to convening a group of folks again next year. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, I don't want to take too much time, is our program cohorts. So we also have a program that you can join. The applications will be coming out in just a couple of weeks at the end of this month. And so we have a program called Youth as Solutions, where we can lead you through the service learning process. We will walk hand in hand with you and your students, and you can choose which topic area to focus on. This past year, we had a cohort working on education equity, a cohort working on teen driver safety under the auspices of an important public health topic. And then we had some groups working on public health, specifically around health promotion with Latino communities. So we are getting our cohorts together for next year and getting our funding lined up. We'll have that available. And what we do with those groups, this is who we worked with last year. The way that we do that is we provide support. So we have a kickoff training in the fall, which is a virtual training. We do monthly online discussions and professional development topics, provide resources, and then our staff are here to help you through the process. And the projects will culminate in at the end of March, and you can just see some of the accomplishments as a collective group that all of our teams made this year. And finally, I'll end with just an example. So for an example, what this might look like in your community, this is Peak to Peak Charter School in Colorado. And they were part of our Project Mission cohort working on the driving safety public health issue. So they knew that everyone in the cohort, you're self-selecting into the topic area, but then within that, it's really up to the students to do research in their community and design their service learning project that's going to meet those community needs. So these were actually, Christy Letter was the teacher, and she's actually teaches English language learners. So it was a really interesting twist for English language learners to take on distracted driving. They came up with this awesome idea of a donut cart, donut drive distracted. And you can see her quote there about the transformational impact of students that are not often asked to serve and what it meant to them to take this on. And that's it. Are there any questions for me?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that your registration is still open for your Youth Leadership Summit. Is that correct?
Yes, I didn't even mention that because it's coming up so quickly. So June 23rd and 24th, it's a Friday and Saturday. We do have a free Youth Leadership Summit. So if you go to nylc.org, thank you, up at the top. Oh, you've got it up. Great. Under events, you'll see all of our events there. So yes, this is for young people. And if you scroll down, I believe it's ages 14 to 18. So kind of grades 9 through 12 is the target age. So this is not for adults. It's only for youth. It is planned by our National Youth Advisory Council. And it'll be a great event. And then a lot of our new things that I mentioned will be kicked off there as well. So when this takes place, we will have the new applications for our Youth as Solutions program coming up this year. And then if you go under events, there are other things too for adults. So yeah, thanks, Jessica. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you so much, Pam. Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to share my screen now and share some of the additional resources. We weren't able to get speakers from these organizations, but I will attempt here. Tell me, do you see the Special Olympics on your screen? Okay, fantastic. So the first resource that I wanted to highlight here that I found is specifically around inclusive youth leadership, which I thought was a topic that was really pertinent to all of our schools and communities to make sure that our students with disabilities are also having an opportunity to be engaged. It reminds me of what you just shared there about the charter school in Colorado, seeking out those, underrepresented groups, or the groups who aren't typically invited to the table as it pertains to engagement. And so the Special Olympics has a number of resources here. As I'll scroll down here, they have information on on a youth leadership guide, information on what that looks like to start a Special Olympics club within your own school or community, how you might recruit. But a little bit farther down, it also goes into a lot of really great resources on what it might look like to host a youth leadership experience or the training that you might need as a sponsor for this. It also includes information on how to incorporate this work into clubs that you might already have in place so that you don't have to start from scratch. And I really loved this part down here about lessons in social inclusion, little 5-minute mini lessons that have been pre-developed that schools could implement. Now, some of you may say, we just don't have the capacity to have a Special Olympics club or unit within our community or organization. Maybe the need doesn't justify something like that, but certainly there could be takeaways from this about how we can incorporate opportunities for students with disabilities within the initiatives that you may already have in place. So I hope that this will be useful information for you. The second one that I wanted to bring to your attention is Lead for Change, and I'll play a short video and then I'll walk us through some of the information and resources that are available.
In order to thrive in the real world, our students need strong social, emotional, and leadership skills. Lead for Change is a free and evidence-based program proven to develop leadership skills in 6th to 12th grade students. A 2019 national independent study on Lead for Change revealed outcomes demonstrating the clear results our students achieved. In self-assessments, over half of Lead for Change students grew in their respect for others, commitment to vision, ambition and innovation, ability to take other perspectives into consideration, self-efficacy, and overall leadership. And a whopping 40% of students grew in all 10 areas of leadership development and social-emotional learning. By empowering our students to lead and serve, Lead for Change is changing lives, transforming communities, and improving our world. How will Lead for Change help your students grow in their leadership journey? Join more than 10,000 educators providing powerful leadership resources to students across the U.S. Learn more, check out the research, and access free leadership curriculum now at leadforchange.org. Lead for Change, proven to teach students to lead. Young leaders change lives.
Okay, great. So Lead for Change is one that I had an opportunity to learn a little bit about in a former life when I was doing high school dropout prevention work, because we know that when students are engaged and they're giving leadership opportunities, then they have a stronger commitment to the school, they have a stronger commitment to their learning, and it's a really effective dropout prevention strategy. So what's great about Lead for Change is that everything is free, and much like all the resources that we're highlighting today. So the teacher would enroll and it provides you with everything that you would need to administer the lessons. You're able to pick either a 6-lesson course or a 12-lesson course. So it could be done over the course of a year. It could be done in a semester. This could be an after-school program opportunity. This could be something that's done during seminar time. A lot of our schools, particularly at the high school level, have this have a seminar time, and so this could be something that could plug and play into there. The other thing that's really great is that not only can you sign up as a teacher and you'll have your dashboard, you'll have your lessons, but you can also sign up your student team, and they are able to, after completing their lessons, they can share a story about their impact and growth and a project that they have an idea for. And the project needs to address a community need with a creative solution that the students are bringing forward. And they give away $10,000 to various, I don't know that it's just one that they give away. I've seen some press announcements. And so it's a competition that students could also participate in. And that's a really fun perspective on it. It also comes with a strong leadership base. So if we were here on the page I was just on and go all the way to the bottom, you can click on our research, and that will take you over here to the research page. And so you're able to see sort of what is going into it, what are the factors that they are promoting. There's that survey that they talked about in their video. But I thought this was a good one to share, because oftentimes our schools are saying that they want to cultivate leadership, more leadership opportunities for their students. And this is a way to bring a curriculum into your building that could be customized to your school. The very last resource that I'll talk about is what I found regarding positive youth development that is available through the healthandhumanservices.gov website. And so on this first page, which is sort of their landing page, you can see here that they have a number of different resources as it pertains to the positive youth development model. And so if you're unfamiliar with that, then this would be a great page to learn more about positive youth development and how that can be incorporated into your schools as well. From this page, I was really intrigued over here on the right-hand side by the youth listening sessions. So then if you click that page, it'll bring you over here to the meaningful youth engagement page, where they talk about the importance of the youth listening sessions and what you're hoping to achieve here. I really liked this sentence that said, the youth listening sessions offer an opportunity to meaningfully engage youth, signal that their opinions are valuable, and incorporate their voices into program discovery, planning, implementation, and evaluation. So one of the things that I often think about, especially as I have a child who's getting older and is about to graduate, is this idea that up until the point of graduating from high school, we see our young people sometimes as children, that we need to make decisions for them and we know best. And then this magical thing happens when they graduate, and now suddenly they're adults. And suddenly they are their own decision makers and they need to be empowered to do these things. But if we haven't cultivated opportunities for them to engage in that and to practice in that, then how do we really expect that to happen? And so I'm thinking about that as a parent. I'm sure that you all are thinking about that as school and community members as well. And so this youth listening session, I thought, was a really innovative idea to be able to get the perspective of our young people. Now, the important thing is it's not enough to just get their perspective, right? So we need to also be thinking about how we're going to give them decision-making authority, how we're going to take their ideas into practice. It's not enough just to placate them. Oh, I think I lost my, let me come back. Okay. It's not enough just to listen to them and then not take anything that they say into consideration, but I'm sure that you all know that. So then I clicked on the youth listening session toolkit, and that takes me into the actual toolkit which is 74 pages long, right? So it's giving you a lot of information and resources that are available in there. And here on page 9, as I started to sort of get into it, I wanted to bring your attention to all of these resources that are available. So it's not just here's why you should do this and why it's important. It's here's why you should do this and why it's important. And here's your first step. And here's a sample agenda. And here's some sample icebreakers. And here's a sample media release form. And here's this sample and that sample and this sample. So it becomes really an all-inclusive sort of toolkit that our schools could use to learn more about the issues that are important to our young people. So I will pause here for any questions that anyone might have about the 3 resources I shared. I'm certainly not an expert, but I would be happy to see if there are questions. While we're doing that, I'll go ahead and get us back on track here. Something in the chat. Oh, just a thank you. Thanks, Pam. So here is the link, and thankfully I did spell National Youth Leadership Council correctly on this page. These are all of the links to all of the various resources that I shared today that were either shared by Sarah and Pam or the 3 that I shared as well. I would be remiss if I didn't also take the opportunity to just remind you that the Kansas Volunteer Commission is also here as a resource to our schools and communities. Our role really is to provide resources, leadership, training, and technical assistance to support your local initiatives that you're engaging in around youth mentoring, civic engagement, national service, and volunteerism. We have a monthly webinar series. You're currently participating in our civic engagement webinar, but you're also invited to register for our mentoring webinar if you're interested in learning more about best practices for youth mentoring, or our volunteer engagement webinar series, which is currently working through the 12 effective practices for volunteer management. These webinars are always free, they're always recorded, and they're available on our website through our YouTube channel. We also offer a number of grants every year, and many of these grants are geared towards our schools and communities to be able to implement initiatives just like these that we've learned about today. So we do have a couple of day of service mini grants that are coming up, and all of these grants have a $5,000 limit. They're all open to our schools and nonprofit government entities. They do require a match component to them, but we are very skilled in helping our subgrantees to find that match and to be able to track that match. So please don't let that be a barrier to you. We will also come out with one final mini grant this year, which is brand new, and it's for rural and indigenous communities in Kansas who want to start a volunteer or mentoring program or enhance what they already have available. And so certainly as you are taking all of this into consideration and you're thinking about what resources you might need to get some initiatives like this off the ground, we hope that you will consider that mini grant and that it will be useful to you and your community. We encourage you to check out our website to sign up for our monthly newsletter. It's the first place that we always release any of our trainings, our grant opportunities, and other resources that we've come across. We're also on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, should you wish to follow us on social media. And lastly, here's my contact information. So if there is a need that you have, if you had a question today and you didn't want to ask it, or if you have an idea that you want to float by and maybe need a thought partner, I hope that you'll reach out to me. We really are committed to ensuring that all of our young people have an opportunity to be engaged and to cultivate that lifetime love of service and commitment to others. And so we hope that you will lean on us as a resource as well. And with that, I will pause for any final questions that there might be. Okay, well, not seeing any, I hope that you all have a fantastic weekend. If you're here in Kansas, the weather's supposed to be pretty good, so we can't complain there. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.